Hey everybody, the image for this video is a guy slicing a tally mark into the back of his forearm, and in the context of the story it's very metal and very badass, but I can understand how the image would be unpleasant to a lot of people. It's a dude carving a line into his forearm. It's, hits close to home for a lot of folks. So if that image bugs you, maybe just listen to this one, don't watch, have it on in the background, or just give this one a miss. There'll be another one soon enough. Thanks.
Greetings, friends. Welcome to this edition of Tales from the Tabletop, the video series where I delve into the deepest dungeons of the internet and my own personal experiences to bring you anecdotes of adventure, from Warhammer to D&D and everything in between. First story up today comes from a guy named Jeff, and Jeff writes, "Our group was playing an evil version of their normal epic hero characters." So I'm assuming everybody had a facial scar and a goatee, just so I can visualize. They were sacking a village just because they could. One character was an elf. Pretty badass for an elf, but still an elf, so he had less hit points than most of the rest of the party. Somehow, with lucky rolls on my part and bad rolls on his part, an NPC got the jump on him. She clocked him in the back of the head with a critical hit. He remained conscious just long enough that he turned to see what superpower monster had just bested him. But instead of some sort of big bad or mini-boss, I described the thin, middle-aged peasant woman brandishing her mighty skillet and cursing him vehemently. He failed yet another roll, dropped like a sack of potatoes, and passed out. We all laughed harder than I thought physically possible. The rest of the group finished their plunder, considered leaving him there, and putting the peasant woman on the payroll. Today, 10 years later, every time that player rolls into an armory or a blacksmith, somebody has to ask, what sort of frying pans do they have? Moral of the story, don't underestimate a woman with a weapons proficiency in skillet. The next one comes from Simone, and Simone writes, "Grab your beer and prepare your ears, fair traveler, 'cause I have multiple." Oh, I'm striping in. The very first time my friends and I played D&D, my barbarian friend almost killed me with a shovel. No reason, he's just dumb and impatient. That's not what the story is about, however. The story is about how our first encounter was with a herd of angry rats, or swarm of angry rats. In the Monsters Manual, I think it's a swarm. We ended up killing the rats pretty easily, and were about to continue on our escort journey, when two of my fellows decided to collect as many rat pelts as possible. One of them even made a scarf out of them, made a multi-artisan roll of a natural 20. He gave it to the barbarian who had almost killed me with a shovel. A few minutes later, an eagle, a perfectly ordinary eagle, flew down to attack the rat scarf. The DM asked us whether or not we wanted to do something. We said, nothing. It's just an eagle. Then the eagle critted the barbarian, who dropped to 2 hit points. We were level 1. Without thinking, I grabbed my warhammer and swung for the eagle. The eagle dodged, and I hit the barbarian. Poor guy was knocked out instantly, but to be honest, I don't regret it. A few hours later, we're in an underground dungeon. DM, you enter a room with 4 armors. Me, I tied the armors with my rope. DM, me, come on, man. I've seen this a million times. How many have I tied already? The DM, panicking, you've tied 1, but the other 3 are preparing to attack. I lasso the rest. So we continue to fight with 1 tied animated armor, 1 lassoed animated armor, and 2 free animated armors. Still, somehow, 2 out of the 4 party members end up getting knocked out. Luckily, we had a bag of holding. Even more luckily, we didn't know how it works in the game, so we made up the rules. We put the 2 unconscious adventurers into the bag with my other friend who resurrected them, also inside the bag. Meanwhile, I grab the bag and run. We all live to tell the tale. On another occasion, a bunch of strangers were sitting in a tavern. After a lot of arguing and a bar fight, we find out that the place is about to get ransacked by orcs, but we cannot leave without our druid, who is insisting upon waiting for her master. Luckily, I was playing a charlatan bard, and I have seen her master, so I walk behind a pillar, cast Disguise on myself, and walk from behind the pillar disguised as the druid's master. Me. Okay, wow. How does this work? The DM, who is a heavy role player. You said this out loud in front of Aoife. Aoife, roll for insight. The druid, Aoife, needs a 10. She rolls a 5. Please tell me I don't believe that he's Mesidormius. DM, you indeed believe he is Mesidormius. Me, who in the hell is Mesidormius? DM, Aoife's master, you dumbass. Halfling rogue, hey, where's our bard gone? Me, silent hobbit, halfling? Damn it. The bard is not important. We've got to leave. Now. DM, Aoife, roll for insight again. You only need a 5. Aoife rolls a 2. Everyone, except for me, face palms. Me, well, off we go, adventurers! In a different game, a paladin and a barbarian are running a duo adventure, and they run across a troll. During the fight, they learn that the troll regenerates its health, so they begin improvising. The troll is low, but so are they, so the paladin casts a minor illusion of a female troll. The troll is immediately attracted to the illusion. He stops paying attention to the adventurers, and instead tries to grab the female by her hips. However, he fails, as it is only an illusion. Still, he tries again and again. The paladin strikes the troll and rolls a natural 20. The troll's heart is skewered and he bleeds out, because no matter how mighty, a troll cannot regenerate a broken heart. Rest in peace, poor troll. This next one is short but sweet, and I think it's worth reading. This is from somebody named Mr. Bloody Sprinkles. Yep, alright. Mr. Bloody Sprinkles writes, a message I received from a previous player. Happy DM Day! You're easily a pro at managing to create well-enjoyed sessions with beginners and experienced players. I miss being at the table with you every week. My friend sent this to me about 2 weeks ago, and it put a massive smile on my face. I try very hard to be a good DM, and although I know I'm not that great, it always feels great to be appreciated by my players. That's really sweet, and I'm happy for you. And just as a brief PSA, most DMs, all they really want is a thank you and a pat on the back. If your DM is anything like me, I'm spending half the game being like, geez, I hope nobody's bored, and just constantly searching faces to see, is anyone getting bored? This next story is from someone whose name was deleted. In 1991 or so, I was in university and hanging out at the Methodist Student Center. The dude I made friends with was running an occasional Star Frontiers game. In fact, that's how we became friends, because I had Star Frontiers back when it was in print. We had a heavy game going, about 10 people or so. Gracious. One player was an obnoxious twit. We'll call him Harry. Harry was insufferable, to say the least, and he was obsessed with RPGs because otherwise, his life would have nothing in it. I'm sitting at the end of the table next to the GM's younger brother. Both of us are Star Frontier veterans. The party is moving through rough terrain to approach an enemy facility from the blind side. We're crossing a river, and the GM notes that there's a crocodile about 75 meters downstream. No big deal. Except that Harry decides he just has to mess with it. His PC was just as big a jerk as he was, and he had these jet boots he was always flying around in. Had these jet boots. Harry decides to kill the croc. We're all telling him to leave the dang thing alone and let's move on, but he pulls out some Tornadium D19, For the uninitiated, it says here that it is like C4, only more so. He still has several kilos of it in his backpack. The GM tells him to roll a skill check. I lean over to the middle of the table and speak to the GM's brother and say, watch, he's gonna roll double zeros, which is a critical fail in this game. We both laugh, but Harry gives me an evil stare. He rolls double zeros. We all hit the floor laughing, as in the whole room collapses like puppets with our strings cut. All of us, except for Harry. Harry blows himself to shreds. You know, sort of like Arst on Lost? Yeah, like that. I've never seen Lost, so I'm just assuming somebody hugs some explosives and he gets gibbed. Another player, a lifelong friend of the GM, who goes on to become a high-ranking officer in the Air Force, he states that he's going to check for any equipment left over from the blast. The GM rules that one jet boot, with the foot still in it, is left. The Air Force guy shakes the foot out and tosses the boot into his backpack. Harry comes unglued. If you've never seen a short, fat, smelly, bearded boy self-destruct on a quantum level, you can't picture what this guy does. The scene itself was borderline science fiction. To cut it short, he tells us what a bunch of a-holes we are and storms out of the building. But, in Harry's defense, he did kill the crocodile. Alright, this next one is the one that I've been illustrating this whole time, so strap in, I hope it was worth the wait. This one is a story from a game called Mörk Borg, which I have the rulebook right here. This is all of it. This is the whole game. Easily my favorite OSR game. If you've not heard about it, please look it up. And if you want to hear me talk about this, then drop it in the comments. I'd love to make a review. One of my players made a character named 13. She had no thought behind the name. It was just picked at random. Her character was a crazed occult herb master who dabbled in the black arts. For the uninitiated, occult herb master is a character class in this game. Lots of fun. After an epic battle against 10 parasite-infected soldiers, only one player survived. This player had a scroll of resurrection, and picked 13 to resurrect, as 13 can produce more scrolls. As soon as he is resurrected, 13's player looks at all of us, erases the 3 on the character sheet, and replaces it with a 4. 14. Everyone on the table loses their minds. And that's the last story for today. The illustration for the story, I tried to think of what would it do to a person to be killed and resurrected 14 times? What would that person look like? Are they losing their mind, or is this just, it's Tuesday at this point, just another resurrection? I had to think of a way to represent 13 going to 14 visually without, drawing a character sheet, because drawing a character sheet would be boring. Like, I just show you a character sheet with a number erased. So I figured that the character of 14 would keep track of his resurrections bodily. So pick the back of the forearm because it's easy to show, and also there's not a whole lot of blood vessels there, so he's not really hurting himself. And I actually made 2 images for this one because I wasn't sure which way this character would go. Is this person like wiry and dirty and kind of insane, just driven mad by all of the deaths and resurrections, or is it Tuesday and it's just I guess it's here again? So I did something that I really should never do again, and I made 2 images for this one. Here's both of them for you. My wife really liked this one, thought that this fit the character the best, so this is the one I posted the time-lapse of. But for me personally, I like the shapes of this guy a lot more, and I like, I don't know, just in a fantastical environment where fantastical things happen, the guy who's just bored is always so much more interesting to me. Kind of like the henchmen on Venture Brothers. Just like, yeah, it's a job. These guys are dorks. Let's listen to these dorks talk while they're wearing their crazy costumes. So, anyhow, If you're interested in either bit of original art, they'll be for sale in my store at coffeeandhate.biz. Click store at the top. And in the meantime, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and may your dice roll high and never be cursed.